for the Deutschen Pfest committee on Monday, October 2nd, 6:32. And first order of business, citizens communication. The committee welcomes comment on items related to Deutschen Pfest. Public comment that is made on an item and that is not on the published agenda will only be heard by the committee. No formal action, discussion, deliberation, or comment will be made. Each person providing public comment will be limited to 3 minutes and will be asked to state his or her name and address for the public record. Do we have anyone here tonight? Public comment?
We do not.
Okay, well, cool. We'll move on to 3, approval of the minutes. I assume everyone has read and is okay with the minutes.
Just as an FYI, there are 2 additional ones from last year in there, which are also needing approval. So.
And I was the only person in the room that was actually there during those 2 meetings.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to approve the minutes for both October 5th and October 12th. Is that okay for a motion for both at the same time?
We'll have to go one by one,
Okay,
unfortunately.
I make a
since
motion to approve the minutes of October 5th.
Second.
We have a motion to approve, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And I'm going to abstain because I wasn't here, so.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for October 12th as written. Somebody has a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes for October 12th. All in favor say aye.
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 All against, motion passes, so.
And then 3A on there as well.
Oh, okay. Discuss and consider action to approve the minutes from the Deutschen Pfest Steering Committee, September 25th, 2023. We have a motion to approve that? September 25th?
Motion.
We have a motion, we have a second,
I'll second.
and we have a motion and a second. All in,
Working in tandem tonight.
right? Yeah. All in favor of passing the motion, say aye.
Aye.
And the motion passes. 3B, discuss, consider action to approve the minutes for Deutschen Pfest. I already did that, 5th and
We
12th,
did
I'm
that.
sorry.
We're done with
Yeah,
3.
we did.
Okay. All right, I'm going out of order. Number 4, discussion only, discussion regarding Deutschen Pfest status update.
Awesome. So, as far as entertainment goes, at the current moment, all contracts with our entertainment is signed. Checks are being printed. On the city internal side, there's a check run tomorrow. We tried to get as many as we could in tomorrow's check run. If they don't get printed tomorrow, they will get printed in 2 weeks in the next check run. So they will be ready for those performers at Deutschen Pfest, ready to go. For the discussion of the group, for the pretzel eating contest, staff reached out to the Rotary Club. They are going to be providing the pretzels for us this year, including sponsoring by donating the ones for the pretzel eating contest. We cannot decide on anything, but we, as a staff, wanted to put it out there to discuss that, and so we can always put this as a potential item for next time, but we wanted to let y'all know that we are considering turning it from a how many can you eat pretzels into a how quickly can you eat pretzels. The reason why is we are concerned about not knowing the number of pretzels required if it's a how many can you eat, and so that's something that staff is considering on our side, because the Rotary will be purchasing those said pretzels, and once they are used for the eating contest, they cannot be resold because they are pulled out of rotation for that. So that is something that staff is considering. So moving on from entertainment.
Do they have a time that they want to, people like a minute, how many you can eat in a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
That could be something if y'all wanted to discuss and consider that in the next one, as far as amending the contest rules. That is something that we could discuss and consider in the next
And just
meeting.
FYI, last year, we had a ton of pretzels left over, so we were just walking around and handing them out to
Yeah.
people, and they were loving that, so I think that was a big plus too, but we did have a lot.
I think birds and squirrels in my backyard. I have lots of pretzels. Not a bunch.
I will say I went and did research. It was some of the most tasty research that I've ever done. So the pretzels will be coming from Annie Ann's, and so I went and checked to see how big they are. The pretzels are roughly 5 inches by 5 inches, so they're pretty good size. They're not quite as big as your face is, but they're pretty good size.
It's like
So
regular pretzel.
yeah,
Regular big pretzel.
yeah, roughly fits the size of my hand.
Okay.
So gates and volunteers. So a quick update on staff volunteers. We now have 118 out of 130 volunteers. You will notice that number went up a little bit. So last week it was 124 volunteers that we needed for staff. We, as a staff on our end, have gone through and determined that there are a couple more spots where we could use additional volunteers. And so we added a few more spots, as well as some of the volunteers were actually, on the citizen side, were actually staff members. So we moved them into the correct one as well. So we have 90% filled on the staff volunteers. That's a 7% increase from last week's number. The citizen volunteers, you'll see that number decreased by 3% because, like I said earlier, there were a couple of staff members who had registered on the citizen side. So we moved them to the correct one. We do, our volunteer coordinator this week has pushed out emails, Facebook posts. He's been calling. So once again, be our feet on the ground for that and be encouraging people that you know or meet to come volunteer with us for Deutschen Pfest. All that information can be found on our Facebook.
Last week, I don't know when we last met, I asked for a volunteer sign-up list to be sent out.
Gotcha. We will follow up on that.
Also asked for the map to be sent out. Just slide that in there, just in case.
Map and volunteer list. An update on gates. So the equipment for checking in people should arrive early next week. Staff will get trained on that as soon as it arrives. And then following that, we are talking with IT about potentially increasing our Wi-Fi capability right there at the gate to allow for easier check-in processing. But all the equipment should arrive early next week, and staff will be trained on how to use that. Once again, that's going to be our front desk staff and a lot of our aquatics cashiers who are helping staff those positions so they have experience in that money handling process. Next up is vendors. So we are still in the same spot as far as vendors go. We've been talking with Miriam about the vendors. We have an item later on discussing and considering vendor placement. Once we go through that, we'll be able to start actually assigning people to individual locations within the map. And that way they will know where their spot is at.
I mean, they're already assigned.
As far as the locations are,
Everybody that's approved has been assigned.
gotcha. So the fun run and community fair. So staff this last week, well, first off, we have 119 runners. So that's a 2% increase from last week. It's essentially 2 more adults and 1 additional kid. Vendors, we still have the same 29. Those applications closed this Friday, after which, once again, we'll work with Miriam and get the vendors assigned to those spots. As far as the vendor map, we created this map last week, so it's a little hard to see, but on the right side where you see the long brown rectangle, that will be the maze. That'll be in the kids area, so it'll be a maze that's staked out. The reason it's kind of offset, that is one of our soccer fields, and it does have irrigation, so we kind of had to put it off the playing surface a little bit so we didn't hit any irrigation pipes. And then along the right side there, the white block is a haunted house, bouncy house. The one right next to it is another bounce house, and then there's 4 smaller blocks. Those will be additional kids area items that our staff is working on setting up. It'll be games, fun things for the kids to do. So that will kind of outline the edge of that. There are 56 vendor spots on this map. So that's 8 sets of 7. 7 is the amount that we have to have as a fire break. And so there are 8 sets of 7 vendors equaling 56 total.
That's a lot.
Yeah. We have currently 29 applied and then 20 vendors who have been declined for Friday, Saturday, who we'll reach out to. We've also had some sponsors start rolling in, and as a part of their sponsorship, they'll get a table at the community fair as well. They're specifically Fun Run and community fair sponsors. So we'll probably be pretty close to that 56 number by the time this Friday rolls around.
Is that on Finnick Lane? Is that
Finnick
the
Park.
or-
Yeah,
Right, it's on
Finnick
Finnick
Park,
Lane.
Finnick Lane.
Yes.
So I'm thinking
Just
park,
off of
I'm thinking
Swenson.
parking.
Yeah,
It's
so-
along Finnick Lane, cause that doesn't have much parking.
We direct everybody to park in the grass in the field,
Okay,
just
okay.
right beside the
Gotcha.
parking spot.
So we have a field allocation group that uses that on Saturdays and Sundays. They're not using it the week of Deutschen Pfest, obviously, but in their parking plan, they fill up the parking lot itself first. Then we ask them to park along the street. And then as a backup, we do have that grass area as potential parking as well, depending on how many people we're seeing at that point in time. And we'll have that all prepared as well, so that if we do need to use it, it's ready to go. The biggest thing that'll affect us, it's not going to rain. I think someone said that last time. I put trust in that as well, but that would be the thing to consider if it were wet at all in that grass. We would probably not want to park people on top of it.
Okay. You said that is the soccer fields, and
Mhm.
usually there's a bunch of soccer goals, nets there. Are they there all the time? I haven't noticed, but most of the time I see them there.
Yes.
I guess they'll be removed and put
Yeah,
back
so
out.
they will not be around the community fair area. They will be moved off to the far right side. So they will be out of the walkway area. Next week, I'll present a zoomed out map to show kind of the start of the race. It's essentially directly below this. The idea on that is that as people, because it's an out and back, as they finish, they will have to walk right past the vendors to get back to the parking lot. So
Smart.
our hope is that during that time, they will stop by and see some of those vendors who are out there. So another goal we have for this week is to get an actual detailed run map. I worked with Raul last week or the week before and got a map from him. And so we're going to get that fixed up on our mapping software to make sure that it's all mapped out so people know where to go.
No food vendors there, is that correct?
Not at the moment, I don't believe.
We have one that, off the top of my head, is participating on Friday and Saturday, and they will be on Sunday as well. And they're Candy Apples.
Excuse me. Well, I'll get into that later. Go and finish what you're gonna say.
Well, that's the last thing I have for this part.
Okay. So we're moving on. 4B, discussion regarding committee update, which is us.
So-
Mary, you want to start us off?
I mean, nothing has happened this week, so.
No updates, okay. Miss Melissa?
I'm going by the list.
Okay,
Raul.
well, okay.
You're up next.
I didn't even look. Okay, well, fun run community, like John said, I got with him, we created a map of how I'd like to see the run start, finish, and where to put signs, directional signs, and people and water stop for the course. I gave him that wasn't very elaborate fine, so he needs to clean it up, but also, we have it for the kids' fun run. Plan on using the same course, just of course it's shorter, 1,000 meters out and back. So it'll be just short, and I'll give you that where it should start and end, but that's gonna be pretty easy. We just need minimal people to run that. It doesn't sound like we have a whole lot of kids signed up yet, so, but hopefully that'll increase as time gets closer. And that's as far as we are on that, but the race is shaping up. So. community fair stuff sounds really fantastic right now, so great job, y'all, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Gates, volunteers, I guess, okay. Entertainment,
So I
Ladies.
just want to make sure you guys got the contract for Mario Fraga, because he'll be both the music school and the jazz and yatch. That was the last thing, I'm sorry, the W9. That was the last thing that I sent out, so just to make sure you guys
I
got
got
it. And then, are we in agreement, Lone Star Dance, we don't need a W9 because we're not paying them,
Yeah, that's the only one I think I'm missing.
but we shouldn't need it because you're not paying them anything, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
that's true.
okay,
If we're
okay.
not, then
Good,
we're
because that's
fine.
what I told them. I'm not sure. From a long time ago, I remember that.
Yeah.
So, just making a sure thing, there is no money left for entertainment. Is that a fair statement?
I think so. Whatever was in that sheet, it hasn't. The ceiling hasn't changed since. So
No money's been donated or anything?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I've got an hour and a half overall. That's a little empty space. I put my radio out there. And then, Gabby, can you send out a map to everybody? Thank you. That's the only thing I have. And then what exactly is going in the packets other than their wristbands, their paycheck? I didn't remember anything else from years past, what was in there. Might have been a copy of their contract, but I don't see a reason to have that. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'll have this on the side.
yeah,
I will take a look in our files and see if there was anything else
Yeah.
that was supposed to go in them.
Okay.
There's a packing list for them,
Yeah.
which I don't think is very long. So
Mhm.
I'll go in there and double check on that.
Okay. Cool. That's it for me.
Yeah. Bays and I
Sorry, I
worked,
just left you out
No.
of that whole thing, didn't
no, Bays and I worked on what we had left, and so we're good.
I?
Yay.
We are almost there. We're less than, how many days are we away? Do y'all remember off the top of your head?
Today's,
19?
today's
Yeah.
the second.
Purposely not.
I think it's
Yeah,
less than
no
20
Counting
now.
the
So.
days. Today's the
18 or 19
second,
days,
it
so it's
starts on
coming
the
quick.
20th.
Oh,
That would
yeah.
be
Hey, also,
18 days.
before we move on, also, I wanted to mention something, hopefully you are aware of this, but, we're planning on the starting line and the run course on Gillian Creek Trail. Right now, we're planning to start, the starting line is going to be start-finish line, and between there and Swenson Farms Road, with the 10-foot trail, the concrete trail, it's all tore up
Yes.
right now. Hopefully you all know that. And, I
Yes.
talked to a guy, it wasn't a city guy, but I think it was a contractor, and he said it should be done by next week, and they're part of it, and then it's gonna be repaid and all good to go. Because worst case scenario, I mean, like it rains every day and they can't do their work, we would have to start the race on railroad. I mean, is it railroad? Oh, sorry, Fenning, for a few, like a couple hundred yards, and then jump on the trail right at the corner of Swenson Farms and
If it
Fenning.
stays torn up,
Kind
if
of.
it stays torn up, you mean the.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just so something. Things happen. If that doesn't get done, we may have to.
Yeah.
s-
I forgot to
do that,
mention
so-
that as a part of the,
It gave me a start.
Yeah.
when I saw that, like it was all tore up.
as a part of this part.
Yeah, so right behind that, we're gonna
yeah.
start it, and it's gonna run on the trail.
The parks crew is working with that vendor, and they are assuming that it'll be finished this week as well. So, yeah.
That'd be great, but I was
Yeah,
a little
there
nervous.
was
But
a-
I thought, oh, what the heck's going on?
Yeah,
So-
there was a section that needed some heavy maintenance, and so we have a vendor who's doing that part for us. And they're doing some other trail maintenance along there. There was another gap, and so our staff is filling those areas in. So,
Great. Well, while you brought that up, there's a little bit of like plants and foliage kind of overhanging. If they could trim that back a little bit. And there's right underneath the Heatherwild Bridge. There's a bunch of mud that's when it flooded, kind of caked up. It's kind of thick there. I mean, I could take it out with some shovels, but you got some better equipment that can
And
run.
after next
like
week,
a-
it's gonna be worse.
Yeah.
'Cause of
So
the
after
rain.
those, somebody like run like a small street cleaner across that would be great. But I'm still gonna get a crew out there
Small
to
street
make it
cleaner.
look pretty and nice before the race. So
I need to bring up something about entertainment that may or may not be appropriate for the committee. Jonathan, as you well know, we've got some citizens that are really concerned about the placement of the stage. I don't know if that's something you and I need to talk about, or if we need to bring that up right now, but it will probably pursue that.
Yeah, one of those houses was recently sold, so that's not somebody who grew up in Pflugerville and
Right.
was used to the festival.
Yeah.
What we can do, is if that were to be brought up as an item for future,
Right.
discussion.
That's exactly what I told the person. I said,
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do about it tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll bring that up later.
Awesome.
Okay, all good there. Item 5, discuss and consider vendor placement at Deutschen Pfest.
So this is the map that we'll be sending out. So last week we had been asked to potentially look at moving some food vendors as well as a beer vendor over to the other side to kind of balance out so that there would be food vendors on the left side as well as the right side. So this is the updated map. As you can see, so the blue, those are food vendors. And so what staff is recommending to meet getting food vendors by the gate and on that side of the park is moving the regular vendors that were where the blue is at. Those are the other green vendors. So kind of shifting them off of that tail and up onto the main trail. We're also recommending adding selected food vendors behind the restrooms, which is that second blue line down there at the bottom, as well as requesting that the Rotary place their beer tent at that location. So this is a discuss and consider, so feel free to discuss.
Place in the Rotary beer tent where?
We need
So-
a Vanna White.
Yeah.
Are you talking about
They would
back here,
be,
Rotary beer tent back here? Or
no, they would be in
On
the
the
bottom right.
Bottom, okay, right.
At where the green tents merge right at that T. You know,
They're in
over
the
here.
blue section there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rotary has an additional tent, like they did last year. They had the huge beer garden, but they also had a 12x24.
Okay.
So that's
So
the
they're gonna
case
stay,
again this
they're
year.
gonna stay in the big beer garden.
Yes,
and
so we're
additional
gonna
one
keep them in the
over
beer
at Big
garden.
Blue. Okay.
And then
great.
based upon our conversation that we've had, we weren't placing them because it escaped my mind as well that they have a 12x24. So a solution we came up with was taking that extra one that technically wasn't plotted at all and moving it over to the side so that way we can have beer.
Well,
and
we
food in
also
that area.
didn't, for the same reason, we did not put the Friends of Pflugerville Animal Shelter, who also has beer.
Yes, they also have beer. So we would have ended up putting Rotary, which weren't even thinking about, in the same area as another beer booth. So this is also to help spread it out so they're not piling on top of each other.
Okay.
So now you have 3 central points in the map where you can purchase beer.
Well, Rotary, haven't they typically had 2 areas that the
They
Yeah.
have,
the big
yes.
and another tent somewhere? Okay.
They have, yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
So how many beer vendors are we gonna have?
So technically 2,
Just 2?
but Rotary has 2 booths at
Right.
the event.
Okay.
So I get my bearings. So the map that we're looking at, north is north. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so the blue triangle, that's a basketball court.
Mm-hmm.
And so what is the outward or outside orange?
That's the trail that goes
trail.
throughout
So
the
then
park.
the stage is west of that.
That's correct.
Okay, so we can't see it on the map.
Correct.
And then, so the blue, on the southeast side, the blue coming down to the right. So what we can't see here either is the gazebo or the pavilion.
Right.
Okay.
And then
So if
the
that map goes out to all of us, that's what's gonna go out to us. We're not gonna see the stage placement.
We can add it in
you,
there.
we can add it
If
in.
you could, that would be really helpful. Cause the stage, is the stage out there right now when it was set up for music in the park, or did y'all break it down?
No,
No.
they took it back.
Okay.
It's not there now.
So is it gonna be placed where it was in music in the park?
Mhm.
Okay,
That's the intended plan, yes.
okay.
And then just for information's sake, up at the very top, those blue vendors that are kind of like jutting out from the orange, those are the food trucks. So those are the ones that will be
Okay.
parked on top of the trail.
Okay.
And then just in front of those a little bit would be where the rides start.
Okay. How close are the rides? I know it's kind of hard to figure out. I'm gonna say, how close is the closest ride to the stage?
I haven't measured it exactly, but if I'm guessing based on the map layout, it's probably
200
from like
feet?
the front middle corner, probably 150 feet.
Okay.
Okay.
And then how close is the back of the stage to the nearest resident?
When we measured, it was 40 feet.
That's close.
It would be scooted up a little bit for the green room, but we'd have to measure that out and see what that looks
The
like.
green room's gonna be in the back,
Mhm.
behind the stage, okay.
We're still gonna have 3 entrances.
Yes. Yeah, ride share will drop off. So where the orange and the green vendors meet there, that little orange jut off, that is the trail that goes up to Gilliland. So it'll be Park View in that area where the ride share drops off. So
So main stage bands will still be able to park behind the stage while they are performing. That was always my deal, is that while you're performing, you can park behind the stage, unload, and then, but you gotta get out of there as fast as possible.
yeah, there will be a fence that goes along like where the stage is at, back out towards park access,
Okay.
which is what they'll drive behind.
Okay.
So
And
you
his-
would like the cars to be parked back there while they're performing, or just as they're unloading, and then, like, once show ends, they can start pulling up?
Kind of depended on the performer, a
Mhm.
lot of times, if they had people with them,
Okay.
roadies,
What do they usually do? They usually park
they
back
usually
there?
park behind the stage. That's their preference,
Okay.
which makes a lot of sense, but
Is that gonna work?
It's a possibility, yes.
Okay.
Initially, what we had talked about is the field is still gonna be open, so we would have people come in, unload, and then if there's a large amount of vehicles, we would request that, I would say at most 1 or 2 be left behind the stage, but that the rest of them would need to go park next into the open field where we're gonna have the RVs and everything like that.
Next to
Okay,
park
so
access.
Just so we can allow the next group to come in
Yeah.
and unload, so there's
Yeah.
not too many
so if you
vehicles
can
piled
make
up
that
back there.
clear, let's say 2 cars can remain behind the stage, then emails going out to the bands. You and I need to talk about the emails going out to the bands, that needs to be real clear in there, what they get. Cause they could bring in 5 cars to unload and take 3 out or something like that, but yeah, they're all pretty good about that. I've never had a band go, he's in my parking space.
Yeah.
They're pretty good about that.
Okay, so if there's no more discussion, we need a motion to approve the updated vendor map, yes? Okay, floor is open for a motion.
Make a motion to approve the updated vendor map.
I will second that motion. We have a motion and a second to approve the updated vendor map. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All against? The motion passes. Item 5B, discuss and consider future committee meeting schedule.
So I talked with our IT department, and they are able to run video for us on October 9th. The rest of the dates that are on this slide you've already approved, which are October 12th and October 16th, as well as the 17th and the 18th for volunteer and on-site meeting. So if this item would be to add the 9th, which was pending last time.
Okay, so we didn't approve that yet?
Not
We,
tonight.
we,
Nine?
we approved all the other dates
Okay.
with the 9th being reserved to approve tonight.
Okay, well
And
then, we're
the
good.
reason why, just to give you a heads up, is that day we are having a citywide training. And so the entire city will be at that training, including our IT department, who will be helping record some of that. So we weren't sure if they would have staff available to come and record for us.
So we're okay now.
We are okay, yes.
Okay, so then we're gonna need a motion to add a potential meeting on Monday, October 9th. Wait a minute,
Or a definite meeting.
for a definite meeting. I feel like everyone here feels like we need to and we should. Yes, just, it's getting crunch time. Okay, so.
Well, was it in the minutes of last week Was that date in the minutes?
That date was in the minutes to approve tonight.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The motion from last week was, that date was pending because of, until we found out from IT.
And the volunteer meeting is on site,
Are you talking about the 17th or 18th?
17th.
No, no,
Yes.
wouldn't that be the 16th? It says October 6th. Oh, I'm sorry. Volunteer meeting.
16, Monday, Tuesday,
Okay.
and Wednesday.
I'm getting my dates.
It's a
That is
busy
the
week.
in-person meeting that we're having with volunteers.
And that's on the 17th. I'm just needing to send out an email to my volunteers that they are to be on
Okay.
site.
Yes, ma'am, that's
All
correct.
6:30. We already set the times, okay. And there's pizza at that one, right? I'm just saying. Maybe
Okay,
we
so
could try
far we
out the
have-
pretzels.
So far, we have approved October 12th, which is a Thursday, correct? And the 16th,
Yes.
which is a Monday. 17th, which is on site, which is which is a Tuesday. Is that right? Yeah, 17th is a Tuesday.
Yes, 16, 17, 18.
Is it
And
the
then the
9th or the
18th,
12th
which is
that
a
we're choosing
Wednesday.
from? Or we're doing 2 meetings in that week? Because it's the same week, it's a Monday and then the Thursday.
Right, Monday and, yeah.
Okay, so volunteer meeting on
So
the
do
17th.
we think
we
we don't
need
So
need
two on
two
the-
meetings?
Hold 1 second, let me take a look.
Okay, so the 17th is the volunteer meeting, Monday the
What did the
16th.
minutes from last week say?
Hang on, they're still deciding
don't
on
think
about
that
the 9th and the 12th.
The
Does that be-
12th was in there.
Yeah, it was,
It was?
yeah.
Okay. So then we did approve the 12th.
Yes.
Everything that wasn't approved was the 9th, so that's what needs to be discussed.
Okay, so all we need is a motion to approve our meeting for next
It
week,
sounds
Monday
like
the
we
9th.
might need discussion on it though.
Do we need
It
to
sounds
meet on the
like, do we
9th?
need that meeting?
I can tell you right now that it's 99% chance that I am not going to be here for that meeting next Monday.
Okay,
So I don't
well,
know if
it's
that's a
out
factor of, whether who's gonna be here or not. I'd hate to schedule a meeting and not have quorum, so.
And you guys, that's not a holiday for you, correct? Columbus Day?
You're talking about, no.
Okay. I don't see a reason to meet on the 9th.
Okay.
If we're gonna meet on the Thursday and then the following week, 1, 2, 3, we're gonna be in Deutschen Pfest all week long, basically, except for the 19th.
How does staff feel about it?
I will say
It's
that
crunch time.
that is the week of our NRPA
Oh, yeah, that's
conference.
Months
right,
to pull it off,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the 9th would work, better for staff than the 12th would.
Oh, okay. We should have started with that.
I think the
Well, that'd
12th was
be
one
asked.
that had been talked about previously, before the changeover.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we discussed it last meeting,
Yeah,
so that was after the change though.
yeah. So, it is, discuss and consider, so whatever dates y'all feel that you would like to meet are the ones that we will go with
Okay.
What if we didn't meet that week?
at all.
Yeah. And the next week, we've got 3 meetings prior to the event itself. If we can't figure it out by then, I mean, we're almost, you guys just have to print the checks and put the packets together. We're all done, wouldn't you say? Your vendors are all,
I mean, I'm gonna have to redo a lot on the vendors because of the new map.
okay.
I'm just seeing
okay.
it for the first time tonight too,
Yeah.
so.
But we are scheduled to meet, we already scheduled a meeting for the 12th, Thursday,
Right.
right? So we would have to make a motion do we have to make a motion to cancel that meeting?
Yeah, so, the motion, would essentially be to remove, if
Like,
you were wanting to
replace
remove the 9th
12th
and
for the
12th.
9th.
Yeah,
Well, we're not removing the 9th, there's not a meeting on the 9th, just don't make a motion for that, correct?
that's correct, yeah.
So just make a motion to,
Yeah, if you
Cancel
did
the
not
meeting on
wanna
the
meet
12th.
on the 12th, yeah,
Okay.
you can make that motion.
floor is open.
But it's better for you guys if we meet on the 9th.
Well,
If we had to
like-
meet at all, yes.
So I
We're gonna
think
pick
we
if we meet at
have,
all.
we have 3 different discussions, like,
Yeah.
we already have the 12th approved. So, do we also add the 9th? Or do we take out the 12th and substitute the 9th and meet on the 9th instead? Or do we not meet that week at all?
Do y'all feel like we can make quorum on the 9th? I can't speak for Juan, who's not here, so. And y'all planning on being here the 9th? And
You wanna know what we did last year?
I mean, I have it on my calendar.
We hardly had any meetings last year. We were 2 weeks before Deutschen Pfest. We were meeting in the last week of, No, I
I won't
take
be
that back.
able to
We
make
met
the
first
12th, actually.
yeah, I've had more meetings for this year's Deutschen Fest than I have ever had. Which is not a bad thing, I'm just making an
Yeah.
observation.
That's a good discussion item.
Yes,
So, I mean, if,
and we're further along actually than, like, I think in years past, we probably should have been meeting more often.
I mean, if we don't meet that week at all, then the 16th is our last meeting.
well,
And
we'll
then
have
the
an on-site
17th.
meeting on the 18th. that
Well, the
Wednesday.
17th and 18th, but that's the
It's kind of
volunteers
walkthrough,
and the, yeah, that's not a planning type meeting. I mean, we'd have to be pretty confident we have everything in place by then with just one more meeting.
I believe we would be in place. That is the week of the event. I think we would be in a good place. I would hope we would be.
Like, I mean,
What
without
did you
meeting next week though.
I may have misunderstood you. What did you say about having one more meeting on the week of the 16th?
If we
we'll have
decide
3
not to
meetings.
meet at all next week,
If we cancel
Which
the
is
12th,
the
not,
9th.
if we decide
Right.
not to meet on the 9th or the 12th.
Correct, then the following
Then
next
week,
all
meeting will
we
be the
have
16th.
is the 16th.
and the 17th, and the
Well,
18th.
yeah, but those aren't like planning meetings
City
like
meeting,
this.
Yeah,
that's kind of hands-on stuff.
okay.
I'm just saying, like, by the 17th and 18th, we have to be confident that with one more meeting, we're gonna have everything
Yeah,
in place.
Okay.
is there anything out of place that you
Well,
see?
then we're gonna need a motion to cancel the meeting on October 12th.
Miriam is correct. There are 3 different essentially
Yes.
options.
Yeah.
So, and staff will make whatever y'all want work, but it's whatever the committee feels
What do you feel?
is best. So,
I mean,
Well, lack of motion, everything stays.
I mean, my
as is.
stuff I can do outside of a meeting. It doesn't need
Right.
approval. It
Right.
just,
Okay.
people need to be
Same here.
moved around.
Yeah, emails need to be sent out,
Yeah.
maps and all that, that's all,
Okay, so it sounds
unless you
like,
end up moving this.
I mean, I would be okay with like each person just, like you spend next week tying up your,
Loose
your
ends.
responsibility, and then with the expectation, then if October 16th is our last meeting, that everybody you know,
Well
to give their
prepared and make
report
it a good
completely.
meeting. I
wrapped
agree with that,
up.
I don't see a reason to meet in that meeting, at that week in between. I mean, even at the volunteer meeting, you know, we're gonna get some questions from the volunteers that we couldn't have answered on the 16th.
yeah.
So,
So I'll do a motion to cancel the October 12th meeting.
we have a second.
a second it.
There's a motion and a second to cancel our Deutschen Fest October 12th meeting. All in favor of canceling that meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All against? The motion passes. It will not be a meeting October 12th.
So we
And it
don't meet
won't- and it
October
won't.
9th or the 12th.
So our next meeting will be October
October
Sunday,
16th, and then October 17th and 18th, because those have
Yeah.
already been
The
approved.
week of
The ninth
Deutschen
is,
Fest.
ninth is gone. is what
9th
you
and the
said.
12th are
Yeah.
both gone.
So y'all have a great week.
We're all gonna still be working on Deutschen Fest on our end too,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, I'm sure you will.
In your
Okay,
sleep.
excellent. Okay, so that's it. 19. Item 5C, discuss, consider action to place items on the future Deutschen Fest committee meeting agendas. So one is we need to put the item about the pretzel eating contest, to change it to how quickly in a set amount of time you can eat pretzels over the quantity in a certain amount of time, correct? Anybody have any thoughts on that, any discussion?
And as a mom, all I can think about is somebody choking on
Choking.
pretzels. Yep, you did it too, choking on pretzels because they were trying to eat them as fast,
Shove 'em
because
That's-
they're so dry.
That's the best part of the
But it
contest.
could also happen, it could happen
Thank you,
just as
Gabby.
easily when you're trying to eat more.
Hot dogs are the worst.
Yeah,
Right, there's no easy way to,
but they're soft They're soft pretzels, they're not the hard ones. but-
I don't recall, did we provide water last year? I mean, you could have a drink with you, because that
Oh,
would make
please,
it,
let's say this.
eat and drink, that'll soften
Do
her.
we need to
Stick it
discuss
in your
that
water
next time?
cup, you know, I don't
So
know.
to discuss the wheres and wherefores of the pretzel eating contest?
Yeah,
next
we'll
week?
bring that as an item on the 16th.
I think we should provide water.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay, so we'll add the discussion about the pretzel eating contest on our meeting on the 16th. And are we still planning on having the beer stein holding competition?
Yes.
I hadn't been, missed a few meetings, and I'd suggested at one point having a men's division and a women's division on the beer stein holding contest. There's no way the ladies are gonna beat the men on that, so could we do
Excuse
that and
me?
have prizes
Pardon
for
me?
both the winner and
Excuse
men's? Pardon?
Excuse me?
Say again?
Excuse me?
Well, just seeing what I saw last year, I mean, they could hang in there, but the men were beating them by far and away, by a couple of minutes.
Well,
That's like seeing, a woman champion.
it doesn't have to be two separate contests either.
No, we have them at
like-
the same time, like we'll have
Yeah,
a men's table and a
'cause
women's
the
table.
Okay,
last
so we're gonna
women-
discuss it next time.
So yeah, we can discuss that.
We
But
may
I,
end up having another meeting.
but I think, it'd be a little more exciting to have all the women together and trying to outdo each other, and all the men trying to outdo each other. But I don't think it's a fair level playing field putting them all together, because the men were just wiping out the women last year. So if we could do
Yeah,
that.
but you don't have to separate them. You can just, the last woman standing could be the women's winner. It doesn't, they can still be all together.
I think it just makes it easier if they're all the women together. You can see your competition right there in front of you instead of, you have your back to a woman somewhere else, you don't know if you're beating her or not. So I think having your
You've given a lot of thought
competition
to
in
this,
front of
huh?
you would be a little more fair, a little more exciting.
Yeah, staff will prepare a slide for that at the next one.
Okay, great.
Then we need to talk about, next time, we need to talk about the placement of the stage, because we do have some citizens that have expressed genuine concern about how close the stage is to their houses now, the way we've placed it. So,
I don't know if, like, in between now and then, if like, there's any kind of research or thing we could find out, but I actually think even though the stage is right there, it's projecting away from the houses.
right,
So,
trust, you've had the conversation, you know exactly who I'm talking about. We got this.
To get a lot of pushback on it.
Mhm.
So,
And legitimate with someone who has decibel meters and has been in rock bands for years and years and years and blah, 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 so.
I'll put it down as an item
Sent
for
me
us to
pictures
discuss.
right on the back of the deck of the stage. And I will see them Sunday morning at church.
I'll make sure that there's a slide on that for the
Yeah.
next one too.
So he actually measured the meters for the park, music in the park too. So he's equipped.
any other thoughts?
you know what, actually, like, for the next meeting, should we also discuss when our wrap-up meeting will be? Because technically, we'll have to have one more meeting after the
Correct.
festival
Right.
to do a festival wrap-up.
Okay, so we can put that on the agenda for,
So we can choose
Next
that
meeting.
date, next meeting.
yeah, that sounds a great idea, thanks.
Yeah.
Very true. Okay.
So we talked about the green room, and the city was going to provide some extra. Do we need to talk
Snacks.
about anything more about the green room, or is that pretty much taken care of? All good. All right.
Yeah, Arts Council's gonna be running out.
Okay.
And you're gonna be able to sit down and chill.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Any other items?
Yeah, any other items,
Light
folks?
snacks.
Okay, and
And water.
in lieu of that, last agenda item is adjourn. I would need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thanks, everyone.